What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you for joining me again. Today is Tuesday. For those of you who are not aware, I do replay my TikTok lives in these. So the TikTok that you will see today is, of course, a replay of yesterday. And without further ado, we are going to go ahead and have a few announcements, go through some sponsors, and we'll go ahead and get right into it as always. So, again, thank you all for being here. First announcement, we have something very, very exciting. Lots of people have been waiting on the edge of their seat for this one. So, I have worked out the details, and I will be going live with Flat Earth Dave, the Titan himself, on Wednesday, 9 p.m. I will be doing a stream together. So be sure to check that out. And a little bonus for my fans here, go ahead and leave a comment on this video or on my TikTok video that you can find, and you will be able to ask Flat Earth Dave any question. Within reason, I do respectfully ask that we don't get any troll questions, but I know there's always a few. So I will vet them, of course. So if your question doesn't get asked, I do apologize if you came off trollless. Just try to ask it in the most respectful way possible, and most likely it will be accepted. But yeah, I appreciate everybody tuning in. That's our first little announcement. We're going to be going live again tonight, so you can, of course, catch the show on TikTok if you're not already there. And another special announcement, we are going to be going to Rokfin. That's right. We have been accepted as a content creator, and I'm going to be providing them and you with some premium content here soon. So stay tuned. Be sure to, if you're already a member of Rokfin, subscribe over to my channel, and we're going to go ahead and get some videos up there soon. Now, the way I am going to do the lives, just so you know, for the TikTok live debates and whatnot, is I am going to leave it premium for the first week, and then wrong words, the backwards, right? I'm going to go ahead and leave it free for the first week, so everybody is free to catch it within that first week. But sometimes there is some really good information that gets on there, and people provide some really good evidence, and after that first week, you may want to go back and check it out. It will be premium. So if you're already subscribed over on Rokfin, then you are good to go. Just feel free to add my channel over there. If you are not, definitely check them out. They are much better than YouTube. They have friendlier algorithms. They actually promote content creators instead of trying to stifle them. So we appreciate Rokfin. Thank you for having us. Without further ado, let's go ahead and go through our last few sponsors, and we will get right into the show. I will see you on the other side. Huge shout out to the Flat Earth Hype Man, Flatman X, for that edited clip there. He does work for all kinds of people in the community, so we definitely appreciate you. Shout out, keep doing the good work, brother. Ladies and gentlemen, 3 important things that I can't afford to waste are time, energy, and effort. And I trust that you feel the same way. And with that, I can't tell you how many hours I've spent explaining flat earth, germ theory, 9/11, and all kinds of other nuanced positions just to be met with a straw man argument or be asked for a link. And God forbid I have to find that link on Google, right? The algorithms for that and YouTube are definitely not on our side. So there is a company that has fixed that issue. When you need to do your own research, do it yourself with truthsmacks.com. Not only can you provide a delicious and nutritious snack to your family from this website, but you can also find their resource page and find all kinds of links, data, experiments, and videos that the YouTube algorithms and Google, of course, have buried. So go on over to truthsmacks.com and check it out. Check out their resource page, and don't forget to use your discount code SKY for a 10% discount on your total order. stationary.
Okay, how do airplanes work then?
It's in the name. It's a plane. Airplanes fly over the Earth plane. So I hope that helps. I'd be happy to answer another question if you got one for me. Of course, he might be gone. It's like, oh crap, I can't handle that dude. He's way too smart for me. No, I'm just kidding, guys. Gotta have somebody in here with some good arguments. We're at 100 people, and nobody wants to have a chat. Globy was supposed to do an experiment today or I should say, an observation to try to observe the Southern Star again, Southern Star Cross, and they couldn't do it because of the visibility. So we'll be staying tuned for that. Yeah, I wish I could coin that Joker boy, but I actually heard that from Flat Earth Dave. So he's going to be joining me 9 p.m. Wednesday. So I'm not going to be doing a live on here. I'm actually going to be doing an interview with Flat Earth Dave. So be sure to go to subscribe to his YouTube channel, DIRTH, Dearth, Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. And you will catch your boy Troubling for a great conversation. He's going to be doing the Flat Earth crash course. So for all you newbies in here who don't know anything about the Flat Earth and are just kind of curious to learn genuinely, go ahead and check out our conversation. That's Wednesday, 9 p.m., and I'm going to be dropping a link for it on Wednesday. So make sure you follow me so that you can get that. Waste of time is a matter of opinion, right? Yeah, I love how people try to use a movie to debunk flat Earth. It really shows globe Earthers' desperation. You're using a fake documentary, essentially clipped out of context scenes to try to prove your point, which is hilarious. So every time you quote Jaron or Bob Nodell as proving the globe, you make us all laugh, at least internally. Holding it together really well right now. I believe that Bob Nodell proved the Aether. By the way, it's electrostatic force, not electromagnetic force. That is, I guess you'd call it the flat Earth replacement for gravity. He proved the Aether because they actually did that experiment at different altitudes, and they were able to determine a difference in displacement between the altitudes, which means that it's not caused by the spinning of the Earth underneath it. It's caused by a vortexing effect above the Earth's surface. Meteors could be uh, lots of stuff. Who knows, man? We could speculate. It's theories, right? At the end of the day, we could instead talk about things that are more definitive, like the fact now that I've done some more research and I've watched a great debate with Austin Whitsitt versus a physicist, Brian. I can't remember his last name, but you can go look that up as well on YouTube. And they actually go through how there's a electrostatic gradient above the Earth, which you can actually only have if there are two Gaussian surfaces. So go ahead and wrap your head around that one. Yes, Bryant Myers, thank you. Eötvös effect. I don't know what that is. Can you clarify? I think people who say flirfs are the primary example of Dunning-Kruger effect are hopelessly, what's the word I'm looking for? Dunning-Kruger. It's a very big projection. We don't know how deep the Earth is. We've only been able to dig about 8 miles. Excuse me. Thanks for coming by, level 610. Enjoy your evening as well. Something blocks the light from the moon. That's all we can really say about a lunar eclipse. There are certain lunar eclipses that debunk the globe model, though. You should just look up the impossible eclipse. It's literally dubbed the impossible eclipse, and they explain it away with bendy light. Yeah, I believe it's flat. Yeah, not the Earth's shadow. You can prove it's not the Earth's shadow causing the eclipse because we have video of the moon and the sun above the Earth, which means that it's obviously not the shadow of the Earth causing the effect. You'd have to be pretty dense to think that. Tattooed Badger, give us one solid debunk of the flat Earth since it's been done countless times in the past 2,000 years. And if you could provide a source, that's bonus points. Alrighty. I did pass high school mathematics. It would be a shadow. It's so funny. That's begging the question, regardless. Just look around you. Everything shows you that it's flat. The mathematics work for that it's flat. There's over 44 Army and NASA documents that reference a flat, non-rotating Earth. So again, the sphere is a mathematical concept. It's not based in reality, though. It's just something that works well for explaining why like the rate of things moving, which we don't even necessarily need. The guy who wrote the forward, thanks for the hat, man. The guy who wrote the forward to Copernicus's book actually said that let us place this amongst the other models since they too are since they too have value and merit, and this too does too. So you can read the actual. I probably butchered the quote, but it's there. You can look it up. Just read the forward. Irrefutable empirical evidence. Well, I'm waiting. We don't need a model. So I think Jeranism put it best. It's like if I grew up my whole life having these parents, and then I one day find a paper that an adoption paper that says that I'm adopted, and then I go and I tell my friends, I'm like, hey man, I just found out I was adopted, and they're like, well, who's your real family then? I'm like, well, I don't know. I just found this thing. I just found out I was adopted. And they're like, no, we're not going to believe you until you find your real family. And just absolutely absurd. It's just a way to move the post. The fact is that the globe Earth has been debunked. Radar is a big way to debunk the globe Earth. They just strengthen the signal, and the stronger the signal, the further and clearer the image. They don't have to, all this talk about how they have to calculate for bouncing it off the ionosphere and all this other stuff is just nonsense. We were doing it before we even knew about the ionosphere. You can look up the guy who sent the first transatlantic radar signal. I don't have the special knowledge. I'm just relaying very basic knowledge that we actually all should and used to have. So that's not really an argument to say that I'm just trying to be special, right? What's there to talk about with that? Boring. Yeah, radar does not debunk flat Earth. Nice try though. I just got through explaining how it actually proves the flat Earth. But you can reverse engineer anything to try to prove a falsity, can't you? Yeah, don't spam the chat. We like everybody to talk, but We're obviously not going to have anybody just like spam the thing. Answer your question. What's the question? Sorry, I missed it. We're doing the Q&A since nobody wants to get into the box. There is proof. You're just not listening. Why are all the impact craters at 90 degrees? Why aren't there different angles of impact crater? Periscopes are a great way to prove flat Earth too. What are they, like 14 feet above the water sometimes at most? And that's being like super generous. And they're seeing how far? 100 miles? Yeah, again, I don't need to find my real family to know that I'm adopted. That's just how it goes. I mean, sorry, not sorry. If I'm going to get trolling for the next 5 minutes, I'll go ahead and put it on the clock. I mean, I'm on a good amount of likes. Let's see if we can get that to 5K. And, I mean, shoot, if nobody wants to provide an actual argument, then I will probably just call it. Boring. I don't want to have to do that, though. I'm still waiting for a fact, Jacob. What is facts? It's facts. What's it's? China did not go to the moon recently. Yeah, that's an obviously troll question. The 24-hour sun in the Arctic actually is something that does happen on a flat Earth. Just look behind me; it literally just spins overhead. So don't be foolish, my friend. This stuff is obvious and basic, and that's why I say that you're trolling. Is because you're obviously just not listening to any regular facts and evidence, like the fact that radar works off line of sight and we can send it across the Atlantic. Okay, that means it's flat. You can't explain an eclipse either, so I'm not even going to bother with that. You have a theory on what you think it is. There's literally something called the impossible eclipse. There's actually no evidence of the spaghetti monster. Not a Pastafarian, sorry. It's just the facts, though, right? Maybe there is, and I just haven't seen it, right? Can somebody provide some evidence of the spaghetti monster? Jeez. Sunsets can happen on a flat Earth. Rob Skiba, rest in peace, actually demonstrated that with a Fresnel lens, which again, the atmosphere is indeed acting like a lens. So, again, you could probably just ignore that, though. But when you guys use a Fresnel lens, it's perfectly fine. And that's absolute proof. The sky is blue because the noble gases get lit up, mostly neon, by the UV rays. Works for a local sun. Yeah, we've already addressed the gyroscope and bob argument. You're trying to use a movie to prove your point. Just leave. And if you're going to be so glad when the first 15 minutes is over, you don't have to stay. Nobody told you had to be here. So you're going to sit down in this chair. You're going to watch this. No, you could just go be dumb somewhere else. That's a great point. Uh, hold on. Big Big Island Papa, that's an excellent point. The sunsets do prove a flat Earth because it's a solid path on a surface, and a globe would only light the end. This is demonstratable. This is real science, observable, repeatable, adjustable, variable. Why do the stars rotate in the sky? I don't know. Heaven energies. Give us like 35 years. We'll probably work out a math equation for it. Pro flat. Yeah, that's right. Welcome. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate everybody being here. I just realized that we're up to like 106 or 200. I can't really see because of my thing blocking it. But in any case, time to do a shameless plug. Before I go ahead and let this guest in here, Rob Andrews, appreciate you being patient. Hang on one second. We got truesmacks.com. Go and check them out. Grab your bag of delicious True Smacks. Let me see if I got one right here. Always keep them close by. So go check them out. Check out the resource page, and they'll run you through a lot of flat Earth crash coursing and other conspiracies. It's a lot of fun stuff. Rob Andrew, welcome to the show, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. How are you?
Doing fantastic, man. Welcome to the show.
Where are you from?
Florida. What about you?
Newcastle, England.
Awesome, man. So what brings you to the Troubling Tribune?
Because I totally get your views, mate. I'm totally on board with everything you say.
Nice, bro. What was your big piece of evidence you think that woke you up to flat Earth?
Everything I've been watching, but when they said that they launched do you remember when they launched a satellite from America?
They do that a lot.
Yeah. So America's like, is it 12 hours behind the UK?
I'm not sure exactly. I know it's a good bit.
Yeah. So in the UK, it's meant to be daylight, and US, it's meant to be nighttime.
Okay.
They're meant to be 12 hours apart, aren't they? On the opposite side of the world.
Yeah, they're small local lights, so they light up the small section.
Yeah. So when they launched the satellites from the USA, I seen it in Newcastle, England, in the sky.
Oh wow!
So how can that be?
That's a good point. I wish you had some more information on which satellite it was.
It's the last one they launched, I think.
Oh, the very last one they launched?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome, man. Rob Andrews, I appreciate that. Now we got some more anecdotal evidence. I know it's not hard, super empirical, right? It would have been if you would have maybe filmed it. But still, a great observation seeing that satellite all the way from the UK. Well, Rob, I appreciate you coming on. Did you have anything else for us before I let you run?
No. It's I'm also a drone flyer. So all this stuff that he keeps telling us that the world's spinning at so many miles an hour around the sun, all that lot. How can I put my drone up in the air and it doesn't move position? It comes back down in the exact same spot.
Yeah, there's no Coriolis drift for your drone, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's another great evidence. Flat and stationary. There's tons of experiments that were done that shown if there's a moving frame of reference, then when you leave that, there's displacement. So you should, if the Earth was spinning.
They tell us that the world spins at what? How many miles an hour?
Like 1,000.
Yeah, 1,000 miles an hour. And then you got all these people that say the atmosphere spins with the earth. Sorry, that's bollocks. If I can put my drone up 500 feet in the air and bring it back down exactly in the same spot, how can the world spin at the same speed?
Right. Absolutely. Globe Earth debunked right there.
Yeah. Same with the helicopter, same with the plane.
I want to address this comment here. I haven't muted anybody. Maybe one of my mods did. I didn't even know what that effect you were talking about is, the Evitos effect. I mean, I don't know if you're probably spelling that right because you spelled it twice now. Eotvos. Yeah, what the heck is the Eotvos effect? So we could talk about it. Or you could just jump in my box and we can hash it out. Rob Andrews, I do appreciate you coming on, man.
Thank you.
Kindred spirits, man, over there from across the sea. But we will catch you next time.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, and there he goes. Appreciate him coming on. Gonna keep my guests rotating here. Got my 2-minute timer. Trying to keep things nice and flowing. We hate stagnancy. Evitos effect is when the weight of an object changed based on the east-west velocity measured and proven. Well, that could be due to the electrostatic vortexing. So again, we replace gravity with electrostatic force. Bull monkey. That's funny. Garbage. Peace out. Read books, folks. These monsters. We're monsters. Oh my goodness. We don't believe in the mainstream. We don't believe in the science. Somebody tell the freaking FBI. Explain how that works. How what works. I'd love to explain whatever it is that you're talking about. Electrostatic doesn't do anything. Yeah, it shows that you know you've probably never read a science book in your life. Thank you for the monsters. Welcome. Yeah, if everybody talks about it, then everybody ends up on the FBI list, and then it doesn't matter. It becomes useless in effect. Time zones are indeed created by the sun's position relative to the Earth, but it doesn't have to be the Earth rotating. It could be the sun rotating. And in fact, here's another great proof for you guys. The fact that the stars, the moon, and the sun are all doing this rotation at different speeds also debunks that it's the fact that we're spinning around creating all this stuff. Because all that stuff would go at relatively the same rate. I have a master's degree. Oh my goodness. Oh wow. I'm really afraid of the master's degree. I'm just kidding. Go ahead and bring it in. If you have enough followers, we can talk about it. I had another physics professor on the other day, and it was just laughable. I didn't find any of his arguments compelling, and I don't really feel like my audience did either, unfortunately. Welcome, welcome, everybody who's just joining us. Flat Earth Debates. We're right in the thick of it. Got to get us a good little guest on. 9:42. I'll probably call it here in next, probably next 20 minutes or so if we don't get a good guest. Without invoking conspiracy. That's like saying go 7 minutes without invoking the truth. Yes, there's a conspiracy going on, dude. 100%. Freaking hey, dude. What else you got? I debunked the flat earth fantasy so many times in flat earth group, it's not even funny. Tattooed badger. Okay. I mean, I'm right here. I'm ready. I'm waiting. I'm happy to admit when I'm wrong. So Go ahead and come on in. If gravity didn't exist, then what holds the presupposed planets in the presupposed solar system in the presupposed space? Jeez. Tong Fish. Welcome to the show, bud. Appreciate you coming on.
What's up, man?
Hey, man, what's up?
Not much. So the last time I was on, we had a guy from NASA who was a NASA engineer, and then we had there was another guy that was I don't know, he was some scientific something, but you know they went with the mainstream proof. But when you asked them like, hey, have you ever like put a camera on a rocket or a balloon and set it up, like launched it yourself, like to look, and they just got quiet. Like they'll come up with all this stuff, but when you ask them like, have you really done your own research, and they don't say anything, like, well, no. So I mean, like, how can you even like, you know, base anything off of stuff you like at least haven't even like really looked into, you know, like. So these guys are.
I was gonna say my favorite is when the you ask them if they've done their own research, and they're like, "I've read several books, and and the Cavendish experiment I did in high school."
Exactly, you know, and then they don't actually, you know, look like for themselves. They go by what everyone else did, and they're like, "Yeah, that's I learned that in college. I've got all these degrees, and that's what they all said." Like, oh, okay. I'm like, well, you were indoctrinated just to believe one narrative. They're like, no. They get so defensive. Like, holy crap, man. Like, it's just funny. You know what I mean? You get those people that are they'll just debate the narrative. That's all.
Yeah, not Bob says that I'm only letting the flat earthers up. He says it's a debate. I'm just letting whoever's in my guest box is empty. So if there's a Glober that wants to jump in, then feel free. But as of right now, nobody wants the debate. So that's not on me.
Oh man. And it's always, well, okay, I don't want to say certain things, but let's just say a certain type of, you know, like people or group, you know, they have to have parades and say that they are, you know what I mean? Like, that's cool. But, you know, like people that are with like normal, you know, like things, they don't have to scream in the streets because it's just normal to them. Like, same thing. Like, we don't sit here and try to debunk all your stuff. It's they get mad. You know what I mean? Like, they get so worked up over it. It's like, dude, you know, like it's like you don't even have to like try to fight to prove it because it's just so much evidence. You know?
Oh yeah, it's overwhelming at this point.
And then
Guys, so a question into the mix.
Shoot.
So apparently, if we've been to the moon back many years ago, when it would have taken like a warehouse of technology to send that rocket up, and where we are today, why have they never visited the moon again? But apparently, they can land a rover on fucking Mars.
Yeah. That's
yeah. Do you know what I mean?
He'll tell you.
Oh yeah.
That's because we did.
It's the only technology ever in history to have like regressed, and I can't remember which astronaut, Don something, said that you know, we lost that technology and it's a painful process to get back.
Yeah, Sally. The technology that they had in the day when apparently they landed on on the moon would have taken them like a warehouse full of technology, Microsoft like technology, to land that fucking thing on the moon. And now it takes the same thing in the microchip in your phone to do the same thing. So why can't they do it again? Because it's all a lie.
Well, no, it's the greatest achievement of mankind. So that's why we have a moon day. Oh, hold on, never mind. We don't have a moon day. Never mind.
I'm pretty sure we have been back to the moon quite a few times. Not manned missions, but there's been plenty of rovers by different countries.
They lost that
China.
No,
by
we've never
Russia,
been back to the moon.
They said that.
What? Sorry.
We've
NASA
never been back to the moon.
technology.
They've been back to Mars. No, but
So I think
they've never ever been back to the moon since that.
They've been to
No,
Mars.
they haven't.
Yeah,
They've been back to
I
Mars,
kind of
but
presume they had maybe a quick Google and let's see if they sent any rovers or have there been anything else that's gone back to the moon since the manned missions?
no,
All right.
nothing at all.
Hold the phone
Nothing
for a
at
second.
all.
So, Loot World, I'm going to guess that you're a Glober?
Remember the first
Yeah, sure.
Mars mission?
Nobody has ever gone back to the moon since the Apollo 13 mission.
Listen.
Okay.
So
no manned missions, but I thought that we did send some. We sent some probes and some rovers. Didn't the Chinese collect some samples quite recently
Nope,
on the moon?
not at all. And apparently, all the data has been lost on that initial mission.
Are you saying not at all because you just believe it's a conspiracy and a lie, or not at all?
No, I'm telling you because it's facts. It's facts.
Yeah. Hey,
Ever since the initial Apollo 13 mission to the moon, all the data has been lost,
all right. So
and we can't.
everybody pause for a second. So since we have some opposition, I'm going to go ahead and set some ground rules. I need no interrupting, and when people talk, I'm going to give them 2 minutes. I have a timer set here, so I'm going to let Loot World go for 2 minutes after I welcome Geocentrics into the show, and then whoever, how's it going? And then whoever wants to come in, we'll get 2 minutes. And then we'll just start taking 2 minute turns. That way, everybody can speak, and it's not a shit show. Fair enough.
Okay, I'll keep quiet.
All right, Molly, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, Loot World. It sounded like you had some, like you thought that we went to the moon, even on unmanned missions. So if you want, I'm gonna go ahead and start a timer. And feel free to speak your piece.
Yeah, no, I was just presuming that we had. We sent plenty of missions to Mars and what have you. So I just presumed that there had been some probes or some rovers that had at least gone to the moon. I haven't Googled it. I haven't had a look, but I would have presumed in the last 50 years there's been some kind of missions to the moon at least. Someone else can correct me if that's not the case, but. The reason I joined, though, was obviously you're talking about flat Earth. It's kind of gone off on a bit of a tangent. I just wondered what your explanation was for kind of a very basic proof that we're on a globe, something that people can experience themselves, is that when you go to higher ground, you can see further over the horizon. I'm just wondering what explanation on the flat Earth model there is for that. Obviously, on a globe, it makes sense because you can see further over the curve the higher up you go. So, our experience tells us, when we go to higher ground, you can see further over the horizon, and that fits with a globe model. Just wondering what the explanation is on a flat Earth model for that. I'll concede the rest of my time if anyone has an answer.
So, I'll go ahead and take that one real quick. So that one's actually pretty easy to address. If you actually draw the angles out, and when you're looking at a distant object, I'm talking about in Muppet Vision. I obviously don't have an example to show you, or I would, but what happens is the further out an object gets, the decreased viewer angle. I can't remember the exact term for it. It's not angle of incidence. I used to think it was called that, but basically what happens is the angle becomes so small to resolve when you're looking at the bottom of things, and controversially, when you go up higher, that angle becomes increased. So what happens is as you go higher is you're simply increasing your viewing angle over the surface, and you can demonstrate this over flat surfaces that are large enough as well. So It works both on a flat Earth and on a globe Earth. But what doesn't, what actually debunks the globe Earth in that exact same observation is the fact that we're seeing much farther than the calculated geometric horizon. And of course, the justification for that is refraction and superluminous refraction, but that would have to account for every single time that we've observed way too far, and that just doesn't seem to be the case. So that's my answer.
Can I just put in there and say, if you watch Beyond the Curve on Netflix, it will explain and open your mind to the mathematics of what you're on this channel for. Mathematics tell you that the Earth is not a globe. It can't be. There's got to be.
On that?
Mathematics don't lie. If you work it out, mathematics don't lie.
Can you elaborate what you mean, though? I agree that mathematics don't lie, but how that disproves a globe?
Because over so many miles looking out, if you elaborate the mathematics, it says over 30 miles or 60 miles, if you're looking at an object across water, there should be so many miles of curvature. Like, it should be out of your view, but it's not.
Isn't that normally that's the wrong formulas being used? It's a formula for what's called isn't it a parabola, or it's basically it's not a calculation for a sphere, but it's a different shape. Which
you can't use that for the entire sphere. You can use it for the first 90 degrees.
Exactly. It works on small scales, but the further...
No, it doesn't work on small scales.
Do you know how big the first... I'm sorry, do you know how big the first 90 degrees is, Loot World?
I didn't mention 90 degrees.
It works for... Well, I'm just letting you know that the math is correct. I Can Science That, who is a glober, actually went ahead and did this, and they're presented 5 different ways to calculate the curvature of the Earth, and one of those ways, of course, was the 8 inches per mile squared, and you'll see that with astounding accuracy they even pushed it like up to 5,000 miles, and it was still accurate. So to say that it's not the right formula is it's an attempt to try to discredit the fact that we are in fact seeing too far, because the math, regardless of if you're using the parabolic formula or the formula that I'm sure you're about to reference, the mathematics for how much curvature we're supposed to see is the same.
It's not the same, though, is it? If you draw out the parabola, you're not drawing a sphere.
So we're not using it.
Right. Well, let's put it this way. I think the longest bridge in China is over. If I'm correct, the longest bridge in China is over 31 miles long, and you can see from the start to the finish of the bridge. Now, in correct terms, that bridge should be 8 miles below the surface of your sight in curvature, going off mathematics, but it's not. You can see it.
Okay, so Loot World, it's good for formula. You weren't listening, Loot World. It was good for up to 5,000 miles. You're simply saying that it's the incorrect formula when you haven't even checked the math, have you?
No, he hasn't.
How do you know I haven't checked the math?
Because you're saying what you're saying now. When I Can Science That, who is a glober, mind you, already debunked that this was the wrong formula and actually challenged every glober to issue a retraction on that argument, because it is a terrible argument and it makes your side look very, very bad.
Redacted.
I'm not being funny. I was a glober until I put the science to the facts. And being a structural engineer myself, and then thought to myself, no, the maths don't work out here.
All right, Rob. Rob, you were the first guest that I had on. I have another person in the guest box. So do you have any last thing you'd like to say before I cycle you out?
No, I think I've put my point across.
Absolutely.
I'll continue watching. Continue watching. Thank you.
I appreciate you coming on, man.
Thank you, man.
Absolutely. All right. And where'd you go? Let me invite you. All right. Molly, you have been in for a little bit and haven't gotten to say much. What do you think about all of it?
Oh, I've just been listening so far. I just really had to chime in the fact that it is interesting how everyone always says that the math doesn't work. But yeah, if they did it themselves, they would see that it does work. You know, the 8 inches per mile squared, that's what we should see. But we don't. You know, we see too far. The longest photograph ever taken. You could probably touch on that if you know about it as well. But, you know, over 250 miles, I've plugged in the observer height and the target height, along with the distance and the advanced Earth curve calculator. And basically, for you to see what we're seeing, you just have to play with the refraction until you see it. You know, I call it willy-nilly.
The guess
and they talk about and they talk about how they don't use Snell's law. And I'm not super mathy. I'm not exactly sure on how to do all of this myself, but I do know people do know what they're doing. And if you're not including Snell's law with refraction, it's literally a guessing game. And I've even spoken with I can't remember if it was Blitz or Globy. It was one of the bigger guys, and we agreed that you could really never accurately measure atmospheric distortion or refraction unless you were, especially over long distances. Like the temperature could change so many times, through long distances. So it's really impossible to say that everything is just an optical illusion, really.
Facts. Mel Carrillo, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate you being patient.
Yes, sir.
Were you a globe earther or flat earth affiliate?
I'm a Glober. But disclaimer: I thoroughly enjoy flat earthers. I do not have any quarrels against them. I do like enjoying you guys talk.
We definitely appreciate it. So since you are since you are a glober, and you do enjoy watching flat earthers, I'm assuming that you're aware of our arguments and claims. So what do you think would be the biggest thing that keeps you from crossing that fence?
The biggest thing is just we have to stay away from the math and all the space and the moon stuff. Well, not the space stuff. Those are all obviously easily debunkable, I guess. But I just like to look at like pretty much just the simple stuff like the sunset, and like the things disappearing over the ocean. Those are just the things that flat earthers say. They don't. It just doesn't really. It just kind of feels like a little bit of a stretch on the things they say, as far as like diffraction or something like that. It just doesn't. Because the sun when it dips below the horizon, it essentially stays the same size. It's just getting hidden. It doesn't really grow smaller. And I've seen it. Like you can cut out a little circle of the sun when you can look at it when it's and then you can follow the circle into the ocean, and it's the same size. It never really gets smaller. It just goes behind the curvature.
Okay, so two things. If A, either we could show the sun getting smaller, or B, we can show that there's a way for the sun to not get smaller and set on a flat Earth, would that be enough to convince you?
It would be enough to convince me if I was there with you, but I can just do it on my own. I don't have.
So I'm going to tell you how to do it. I'm going to tell you how to do it yourself, or I'm going to tell you where you can go to learn how to do it yourself. So there's a YouTube channel. The guy who does it is no longer with us, unfortunately, but his name was Rob Skiba, and he actually built an apparatus that's really easy to do. You just use some Fresnel lenses and some cardboard, and you can actually like create like a skyline, and you can make it. You can basically replicate the atmosphere on a flat surface, and you can do sunsets with it, and you can do moonsets, moonrises, sunrises, all of it, and you can do all of this with a flat surface, and you can demonstrate all the things that you're talking about with the the sun setting and all that. So that part's actually been demonstrated, and the interesting thing is that when you actually do this experiment, you'll see that the sun remains basically the exact same size. Not just that, but the moon as well. And the interesting thing about that is that's mostly what we see, especially when we're seeing sunsets over water. But there are instances where we have seen sunsets in drier climates where the sun does shrink, and there are people who've actually counted pixels and have proven that the sun does, in fact, shrink as it goes off in the distance. Not only that, but there's videos of the sun actually setting, and then people with zoom in their camera literally making the sun rise back up. So what you're seeing as setting is literally an optical effect and can be proven to be so, and then can be demonstrated as being possible on a flat Earth. So I'm just curious as to your thoughts on that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I totally get the ability to, I guess, to do it using instruments, but it's just too obvious. It's way too obvious for
So
me.
the reason,
They're there to
so the reason
be
why,
any kind of.
so the reason why it's important though is that the actual mainstream scientists who are not flat earthers, they weren't even doing anything with the flat Earth. They were just trying to show how light bends through the atmosphere. They were literally using a Fresnel lens, or sorry, they were using some sort of magnifying lens, but it's basically the same thing. And they literally said that the atmosphere is indeed acting like a lens. So it's okay when they say it, but it's not okay if we say it. Is that kind of what I'm picking up?
I mean, I can see why you would say that. Yeah, that's understandable. But it's I don't know, man. I'm sorry. It's, like I said, I'm not trying to prove the globe or the flat Earth. It doesn't add up to me. Just on the sunset part of it, and so that's why I feel like I'm never gonna make that cross. But also just one more question before you kick me off.
Well, before you ask it, I'm just curious what part specifically didn't make sense in my explanation.
Well, I have to do the experiment, so I really don't know what part doesn't. I'll have to look at the YouTube, like you said, and I don't want to argue on that with you right now, just because I don't know exactly what you're talking about. But
Fair enough.
maybe when I. So, but another thing is, I guess just the fact that y'all cannot come up with one model that it can't. What is it called?
So that Tychonic model at least accurately explains the movements of celestial bodies in the sky over a flat geocentric Earth, as do most of the models of our universe show a flat geocentric Earth. Just because we haven't had all of the king and queen's money, if you will, to create the mathematics behind everything that's been reverse engineered, which you can prove. They basically admit that when they say that they discovered these things, they're saying that they just calculated the math to certain things. Like, for example, gravity is a huge example of that. Everybody knows gravity is a thing. They think it's a thing because we have this downward drop of 9.8 meters squared per second. And then the thing is that people don't know is that that's actually a misnomer, like boiling water. It doesn't boil right at 212 degrees. It boils around there, and our acceleration downward is around that. That's an agreed upon average. But from there, you can reverse engineer the rest of the mathematics for everything. And when you can actually prove that this is the case when you introduce things like scaling and variance, you can actually half the size of the sun and half the distance. Basically, if you keep everything to scale, the observations would be exactly the same. So mathematics is not necessarily reality. It's just a model.
Gotcha. Yeah, That's pretty good right there. I like that. That you can reverse engineer pretty much anything anybody says, I guess you can say.
That's true. And they've had a long time to do it.
Yeah.
They've been working on this for a couple hundred years, for a few hundred years. Like, I'd say about, a while. How long would you say, Tribune?
Well, it's there's a lot of debate in the timeline. I find a hard time verifying things
Yeah.
older than like 300 years old, but I think it's
Yeah.
I think we can safely assume around 500 years.
Yeah. At
500.
least even when they claim, the Copernicus, and they even openly discuss how when Copernicus came up with his model in the mid 1500s, how people totally shunned it. They were like, no, there's no way we're orbiting the sun. It took a few hundred years, even they claim, for for it to start being widely accepted. So even according to their history, the globe heliocentric, sun in the center model has only been accepted for a couple hundred years.
Yeah.
Widely accepted by, the majority of the globe without people, there was a time. Have you heard about all of the book burning parties that happened after the Second War? I should say, I don't want to be too specific. I don't want to get banned, but
Can't say World War. You get banned.
yeah, just the Second War. The second one of the world. They basically had book burning parties, and book burning is just an easy way to say anything that could burn, they did burn. And there's lots of pictures to prove that this was happening, and it wasn't just the white people. I've seen pictures with you can see little Asian boys playing in the front. I've seen pictures with black children play. Like, these were huge city events with children playing, and like, it's honestly wild to see this huge fire and these soldiers, the NAZI soldiers, saluting. It's just super weird. Even just looking at the pictures, just all of the stuff that we don't know what they burned. Even in the Library of Alexandria, we just have no idea all of the things that they.
Yeah, that's true. There has been a lot, like a large loss of information throughout the years. Historic.
Mm-hmm.
So there's
and Mel, are you aware of how they've? Sorry, you can go ahead.
No, you're fine. You can go on. I'll keep the thought.
Okay, it'll be really quick. I was just gonna ask Mel, like, do you live in the U.S., Mel?
Yes, I do.
Are you aware of how they've manipulated history regarding the Native Americans just based on what you're taught in the public school system versus what actually happened?
Yeah, I think I have seen stuff on that where they leave a lot of the history out.
Yeah, they leave a lot of the scary, dark truth out. They like to paint a pretty picture when in reality it was a lot more gruesome than that. But yeah, that's just a small scale way to show that they have manipulated history.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think that's to do with just how graphic it was. Maybe it's not suitable for high schoolers and middle schoolers to
They probably shouldn't have done it then.
Able to grasp. But you can still learn it in higher education. So I'm sure it's not being kept from you. It's just not being shown to you. I don't know if that makes sense.
My question is, and this is a question really for any Glober. Feel free to answer in the chat as well. What in your right mind made you believe that the people with like money and influence and stuff came together and were like, we need to have a system in place where people can like learn and like really better themselves and all this stuff. And I know that the excuse is, well, better smarter people just means a better society all around. But the thing is like everything that we see is like it's a power play, right? And it's like, yeah, maybe they want us to know how to work better, but they don't really want us to know all things better. And when you look at like how the school system was formed and how it was designed after prisons and to make factory workers, not higher education people. And you look at how everything is just designed to sell you on college. I mean, how does it not compute that there's something wrong with the way that we're being taught, and that as a result, the stuff that we're being taught probably isn't that great.
Well, I was going to say the first thing you said, which was an easy response in saying that it's just to make society better. The better or the more intelligent you have your citizens, the better your society turns out to be. But also, I think it's just to kind of get a gauge on discovering a genius. I think that's why everything in the United States is so standardized, because they want to see someone that can excel. And they want to make it like that's why I love America. Like they don't try to keep you from leveling up, from being one of those people that are in control. They want you. They want that group to grow bigger. They want the best. So that's why America is the way it is, because they allow you to. They don't keep you down. You know what I'm saying? Sure, the masses are essentially caged, or it's very difficult for them to come up, but you can. In America, you can come up.
Can you give me like one person that fits that mold that you just laid out? Like one person that
Well, I can give
lived
you
the
a
American
good.
dream.
It's going to be kind of a little personal, but I can give you
I can
one.
think of a lot, but what stuck out to me as you said those positions of power. Did you know that most of the presidents are related in one way or another? Like even Barack Obama is related to a lot of the presidents.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure
So
that there's
it's just
something.
interesting. Yeah.
But what I was saying is, like
Hey, Molly.
Hello.
How's it going,
one of my cousins, she
Shut
grew
up,
up
Caroline.
here, and now she's a lawyer. I don't know if it's a good example.
No, yeah, I mean, and I do know people that,
The shack. She grew up in a
live the
shack. Well,
American
one
dream. Yeah.
here in Texas, and now she's a lawyer here. And I mean, like with one of the big, she's like a partner with a firm here in the town that I live in Texas. And so,
Who
I
did you say it
mean,
was? I didn't hear the name. I'm sorry. I joined when you were saying it.
no, I was just naming an example of how America allows you to rise even to a position of power.
I heard that, but what was your example?
Oh, well, my cousin, she grew up dirt poor in a shack, one room shack.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome that she was
And,
able to.
and so a lot of my, like, another cousin went to Stanford, graduated from a small town here in Texas. And he went to Stanford, and then, I mean, we have really intelligent people in my
What about a
family.
household name?
I'm sorry?
What about a household name?
A household name, you could say Steve Jobs, you could say Bill Gates, you could say Jeff Bezos, you
So
can
actually,
say Elon,
Bill
You
Gates.
gotta look back at their family tree, man.
Yeah,
you
these
can
people.
say Nikola Tesla,
So I'm actually
Nikola
with you.
Tesla.
I'm not
Sorry,
even.
go ahead.
No, you're fine. I actually kind of agree with you a little bit, Mel Cario. That America is a great place to be as far as like the world goes. And you in particular in Texas, you're actually in one of the freer places. Me as well in Florida. We're in the two probably most freest places in the entire world right now. So
For sure.
we're very, very blessed to be here. And as a result, there is ways that you can gain money, influence, and the like. However, we can definitely acknowledge that there's a huge difference in the tier of wealth and power management between the royalty of America, we'll say, versus the royalty of other countries overseas. As a result, because of our freedom, right? They literally just can't assert the tyranny, if you will, to the same degree. But I would challenge that with saying that does not mean that the deck is not stacked, right?
For sure.
And the deck is 100% stacked against, we'll just say the poorer people in society, and this is everywhere in the world. This is not specific to America. It's just that with America being a little bit more wealthy overall and lucrative, the transfer of wealth happens a little bit easier here. But the deck is definitely still stacked, and when it comes to scientific things, the deck is 100% rigged. The peer review process does not allow things that go against the narrative to get through.
Patents. The main way to make money is a patent. You invent something, you want to sell it, and that invention goes against the narrative.
And
They either buy you out and you're done, or you disclaimer. This is just an educational falsity or fallacy, but either you invent something and you sell it. If it's based on the narrative, you're able to. If it's not, they buy you out, shut you down. If you refuse that, I think you can imagine what happens.
Right. Well, I mean, I think that's.
I wanted to say something, Mel, really quickly before we move too far off topic, away from what we were just speaking about with the wealth gap. Everyone has heard of the top 1%. Where does that leave everyone else? We're born in a system where the rest of the 99% of people are literally born to fail. It's designed that way. And they basically tell us that. Like the 1% hold the majority of the world's wealth over the rest of the 99%. Even the 99% that are millionaires, you know? Like, I just think that, like Tribune said, the gap is just astronomical and unfair, despite the shape of the earth.
The gap is between, it's even become a ridiculous gap between the top 1% and the top 0.01%. The real people that we have a problem with is the 0.01%. We don't care about the 1% because the 1% is just anybody who makes like $350,000 plus. Like, who cares, right?
Yeah.
But if you're over there,
right.
If you're,
that's not even the top 1%.
That's why I laughed, Mel. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to laugh at you whenever you dropped like billionaire names, I just like wasn't expecting.
But the difference between top 1% and top 0.1% is like saying the difference between the top 1% is the same thing as the bottom 99%. It's the same math. It's just filtered down and makes it look smaller, but it's even bigger at the top. Who's giving all these people this money?
You brought that up. The 0.01% is.
It's the same thing as comparing the top 1% to the bottom 99%. The top 0.1% is that much richer than the top 1%.
Everyone's always like, "Who's they?" And I'm like, "Haha, billionaires snickering in the background."
The problem is we don't know who the top 0.1% is. We have ideas. We know the big names. I'm not going to say, but if you know, you know. But
I don't think.
I would argue that the public list that comes out, like the Forbes 500.
Oh, they're not even on it.
Exactly.
They're not even on it.
Exactly. The real rich, disgustingly rich people that could cure world hunger with a snap of their pinky toe, if that could even happen. In 6 seconds, with one phone call, they could probably cure world hunger. We'll never know their names. We'll never know who those people are.
I don't mind the 1% at all. I don't mind that they're rich. I don't mind that they take a large chunk of the economy. They probably reintroduce it in other ways. They know that you can't bleed an economy dry. The economy is what made you rich in the first place. So there are checks and balances. Like you can even look at like Disney, like wanting to buy out certain companies and the government stepping in and saying, "Hey, this is too much. You guys are becoming too big." In other words, they want to instigate a competitive free enterprise. They don't want it to where it's just one big conglomerate and then everything else is just just smashed.
But if you really look into it, media is one big conglomerate owned by one person, split into multiple companies.
Actually, also, I will say this as well. This goes back to the stacked deck thing and what you were just talking about. The thing is that although you can gain this wealth and stuff and be independent, the media is heavily against it. I think a prime example of that is network marketing. I'm probably going to catch a ton of crap for even mentioning it because most
Yeah.
people are brainwashed into thinking that it's a scam. But the thing is that if you look at the statistics and you look at like who's actually been making the money on network marketing things,
Oh my God,
there's
that's
a
crazy.
there's a few rich people who do it, but network marketing has been turning poor and middle class into millionaires, and more millionaires in a decade than any politician has ever dreamed about doing. It has done more for the poor as a system because the system itself encourages good behavior. Unless,
Based on their beliefs, though,
well, of
they're
course,
going to let you be a millionaire.
We're told by the media that Elon Musk is the richest guy in the world. No, he's not.
Yeah,
Not even close.
we were just
Not by far.
Yeah, we were talking about that. That point was made.
seek the truth. The idea that you need the patent, though, is completely false.
No, when you're talking about YouTubers and things like that, and
Well, I'm talking about
people that are able to.
so a good example
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
oh, no, you're fine. I was just saying like a good example of something that's not necessarily patented, but is technology that exists that people can still make money off of, is what I do, which is water filtration. Um, Now, there are some people who think that you shouldn't be able to make money off of something that somebody needs, but the thing is that energy is definitely not free, and you're going to have to spend either time, energy, and effort in some form or another to get this commodity, regardless of if the earth
I'm
naturally.
all about water filtration, man. 100%. I have a Berkey water filter in my freaking kitchen right now.
So the thing is that the water
Shit's
filters, the water filters, yeah, they patent certain designs of it, but the materials themselves are unpatentable. So
Charcoal.
you can exactly,
Yeah.
you can create any filter, and you can put it in the shell as long as you know the plumbing, how to put it to the house, which is pretty much where I come in. I know how the filters work. I know how the plumbing works. So I educate people on how that works, and then they can go and do that, and then barter.
I'm gonna be watching you more, man.
And then the life goes on. But if people do things like that, the water industry, the water filter industry, is demonized heavily by the media. They try to say that water people are scammers. They're door to door scammer salesmen. They try to say that just because it's door to door that it's a scam. And I'm like, no, it's door to door because we have to show you at your house, at your kitchen sink, that your water is bad. Because if we didn't show
With
you,
a test. Yeah.
if we didn't show you, you would not believe us. So we do an electrolysis, we do a chlorine test, we do like people don't realize that like yeah, a little bit of chlorine's all right, but you guys have as much chlorine.
I want to
as
learn how to
those in
do
the public.
this. This sounds
I got
fun.
fluorine tester. I got fluorine filters in my Berkey water system. And
They're good.
tell you what, it's crazy. What you don't know is in your water, and things that you drink out of the tap water, they're there to, what you.
Dumb. They're there to dumb you down.
Seriously.
I don't know exactly what you guys are talking about, but I will say that the government does try to promote.
Water. It's not just tap water though. There's a lot of like
Bottled water is even worse.
Yeah.
It definitely can be. Overall,
I don't buy water with ingredients.
Overall, the
Right.
contamination level is lower.
Added minerals.
But the plastic contaminants and the added minerals are pretty bad. The best
Yeah,
thing
BPA and
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
best thing you can do, reverse osmosis your water and then ionize it. And there are plenty of water ionizers out there as well. So, I mean, you want to get the structure.
HHO. I'm talking about like
Kangen.
electrolysis, like basically hydrogen water. Yeah, dude, that's great for you.
Yeah, you can.
I'd say if you drink reverse osmosis water, I don't know about how you feel about it, but you drink reverse osmosis water, that's dead water. But if you make it alive again by electricizing it, it's great for you.
That's what you
Filtered
have to do.
and then it's alive.
So that's what you have to do because reverse osmosis is probably the best way to purify. It even gets up stuff that distillation misses. So, but it does make it dead. You're right because it saps all of the minerals out. It messes with the structure. So after you squeeze it through the membranes for the reverse osmosis, you then have to ionize it, and that's how the Kangen works. So, but there are other systems that do that as well, and you can break it up into parts too. You can get a separate thing like an RO, and then you can get an ionizer, or you can get Like I like to do things for the whole house because although drinking it's really bad, bathing in
Showering
it is
and it's
also
bad too.
it's also really bad. So I help people multiple stages. Just depends on what people are trying to do, but they can be. The only downside is that depending on what you're getting, they can be relatively expensive. So if you're doing something for your whole house, it's obviously more expensive than just.
That's the problem, though. That's why it's expensive because they know it's good for you.
Can I just bring up something off topic from what you're explaining and talking about? What's your views on chemtrails? Because it's been proven. What are they doing it? What are they actually doing it for?
They're putting barium and aluminum in the atmosphere.
Well, they admitted
and a lot of other things.
They admitted it's weather manipulation. It's cloud seeding.
Yeah.
Well, we know about cloud seeding, yeah.
Well, that eventually falls to the ground that we eat our food from and drink our water from.
Yeah,
You can do a lot of different things with the weather modification. Like, I don't know if you've seen on TikTok, local farmers will be showing their crop this year. Eggplants were the size of pears, like things just, they can do a lot of different things with the atmosphere.
Normally, I cut my grass like once a week.
But what's the point?
This whole summer, I've cut my grass probably 6 times.
What's the point behind it? Why are they
only
doing
one
it?
person at a time.
Why are they doing it though? They must have an agenda behind it to do it. So what's the
it's all about agenda?
It's whatever will benefit them, and then honestly, we're not really sure what they're going for. Sometimes they want to make it flood, sometimes they want you in a drought.
Maybe it's they want scarcity of food coming up soon. They don't want crops to grow.
And
like I was saying before, I usually cut my grass like last year. I think I cut my grass like every 5 days. This year, I think I cut my grass from like May to now. I think I've cut it 8 times.
Where are you from?
Michigan.
Michigan.
I had I just lost my train of thought because I had a message come through. Sorry.
Plenty of water, plenty of sun, things you need to grow. It wasn't growing.
Oh, that's right. We're on the chemtrail thing. So we don't even really have to step off into conspiracy land, really, and try to speculate too much because really the ability to control the weather is bad enough. They were literally arguing with it about, I think in 2011, 2012, an article had come out, and they were basically saying if hypothetically we had the ability to control the weather, who should have the right to that? And it was a whole article debating basically that the federal government should have the end all be all right to manipulate the weather as they see fit.
You're talking about HARP.
I can't remember exactly. I think it is HARP actually, but they got many different stations.
Yeah, they do. They have lots of different technology that they can use. Different parts of cloud seeding, and you can find the patents for these on the internet. It's really pretty easy. I can find the numbers for you and send them to you if you want.
Supposedly Bill Gates, I saw a comment, owns the patents. That might make it easier. Just try to look up the patents for it.
He owns the most farmland in the United States too. Isn't that weird?
Nice, dude. He's gonna make it rain.
He is really so.
Or not.
Mel, I think I've talked to Mel quite a bit, and Mel, I always bring it up to you, man. I just feel like there is no moral billionaire. Like, can that person exist? A moral billionaire. Like, think about how many hundreds of millions of dollars they have, and to think that it would cost $330 billion over the course of 10 years to solve world hunger, that's about $33 billion a year. The world billionaires could easily come together and literally solve world hunger, and they wake up every single day and consciously decide to not do that. It's weird to me.
I'll steal
Trump said he would solve it if they could prove they could have open funding.
I think the biggest ones
sorry, Rob.
that control the most of the water in the world are the Rothschilds.
Can't say that word here. Disclaimer.
Disclaimer.
Sorry. They can start getting into.
So I didn't mention names earlier.
Stuff. Yeah.
So I'll steel man
Um,
the opposition for this one, because as a hardcore capitalist, I actually can kind of sympathize a little bit with the super rich not wanting to give away their wealth just for the feel goods. And I know it sounds harsh and cruel to say that, but the reason why I say that is because let's just presume that the narrative is accurate, that some of these people came up from nothing, right, and worked really really hard to get there, and possibly even worked through different family generations, like built off of their fathers and grandfathers' hard work. To then turn around and say, hey, you have to go and support these people that won't move from an area, that won't produce wealth, that will not do something to better them, will not basically even attempt to do something even as a society together. Before, why does the outside society have to come in and help these people? Why can't these people as a society figure it out and do something more productive? But then it goes back into the whole colonialism. We keep them we keep them down in a sense by buying all their resources from
yeah.
the third world. So then it becomes like, well, they're literally just not able to, and we put these borders up that says that now they can't just freely travel, or they would just move to
hmm
America or wherever.
And
Um,
I'm sorry, Molly, but I think I agree with him.
no,
I think you're allowed to
no.
be a
Well, so
capitalist
here
if you
I want
don't.
to give my like
Sorry.
little rebuttal to that, if you will.
Yeah.
So I actually had a similar point brought up to me that I 100% agreed with, that you basically just said too, is it has to start on the local level. However, like you just said, like I do what I can when I can, but I also feel like I'm stuck in a system where I don't have the means to help, even though I know it starts locally. It starts with our communities, our states, our counties.
For
But
sure.
man, I get it. It's a super unrealistic dream for one rich or 10 rich people to come in and change the world. It's just knowing that they have the ability to do that, you know? I guess that's what like gets on my nerves, but I totally
so
agree with that, you
the
know.
reason
Here's my
why
idea on capitalism. Sorry.
Can,
Go ahead, man.
real quick and hold
can I
that thought.
try?
I was just gonna say
Sorry.
the other reason why they wouldn't do it is because there's no guarantee that it would be a lasting solution. There's a very big chance
Yeah.
that when you throw your money at people who don't know how to manage money, that it just gets burnt. So you would basically be asking them to burn their money for a temporary solution. That's why Elon Musk said the challenge. He said, "Listen, if you can give me if you can tell me how we can solve it, and it can be open source, meaning anybody can see how it's done, then I will throw all my money at it, and I'll do it right now." And
Yeah.
nobody could provide him a adequate solution, and that's because there really isn't one. It's actually much more
Yeah.
complex. The solution would involve
Yeah, totally.
dismantling a ton of
Oh, agreed.
governments.
No, I totally agree, and that's why the research that I've done, it literally would have to be over. I'm sorry, Truth. I'll like one more second. It would have to be done over the course of 10 years, at minimum, for it to work efficiently, and you definitely would not be giving money to anyone. You would be building infrastructure like growing systems, like indoor, like let's like New York City tall buildings full of growing vegetables and fruits and stuff indoors and having mass production of food in that way. Not animals, hopefully, but sorry, true.
No, I was
Guys,
just saying. Definition of capitalism, in my opinion, is the only way you're allowed to have capitalism if it doesn't infringe upon mainstream. Big O, big P. The if you guys know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Like, so big O, they use electric cars, but still have to use the fossil fuels to able to make them happen. So they're letting that happen. And big P, there's you can't invent things that naturally heal you. You're either bought out or crucified for it. And then free energy, or things that produce free energy. You make these, you invent these things, or hydrogen cells, or cars that run on water. That infringes upon mainstream capitalism. I mean, you're only allowed to be a capitalist if it doesn't affect the mainstream.
I can agree.
You're only allowed to be rich or be a billionaire if it doesn't affect the other billionaires that are there before you.
Hi
So
guys.
if you invent something completely new that doesn't affect them and helps them because they're able to invest with you and make money off of you, they're going to let you be whatever you want, and you can be as rich as you can be. But if it's going to take away money from them, you're done.
Can I just ask a question, please? I know our host is from Texas. Am I right?
I'm from Florida.
Florida. So if you're not aware that the UK is going through a cost of living crisis right now.
United States as well.
United States as well, right? So I earn £30,000 a year, and that's not enough to live off. Is it the same around the world, from the United States or
Oh yeah.
the other hosts? Where are you all from, guys? Florida.
100%.
Illinois.
Oh man, you got it worse than me almost. I'm from Michigan. Yeah, you got it worse than me. Michigan's blue as hell.
Illinois is blue, blue, blue. Robert,
Oh yeah, they're like
I want you
California
to know
blue.
something that's happening in my state in January. And
You need to move to Michigan. Just go up a little bit and go to the right.
So what's your actual salary year living costs?
You talking about average?
What do you do? Well, I'm a railway worker. I earn £30,000 a year.
so, well, a better question would be like, how much do you pay for housing or rent?
I pay £520 a month.
Is our pounds and dollars pretty close right now?
Yes.
Aren't pounds and dollars pretty close right now?
You are living good, my friend. Where do you live? I'm coming over there.
Yeah.
Really?
500. Wait, you said 512.
I think pounds and dollars are almost identical right now. And
Wow.
if I paid $525 in rent right now, I'd be living great.
Mine's triple that.
Yeah, me too. For my mortgage, it's triple that.
Really?
Rob, you would be Rob, you would be starving
rent
to death.
over here. Okay, so mine literally.
Yeah, but how much do you earn a month?
But if he's in the United States as a railroad worker, he'd be in a union, probably making $90,000 a year. So.
No, I know a railroad worker, and he's making $35,000 a year. He has good insurance. I mean, $35,000 a year, I think.
That's a lot. That's probably $15,000 a year just in insurance if it was free.
Right. So after tax, I come out with £1,800 a month. What do you earn a month after tax?
I don't work
So
for
to
income.
give you an idea of what the average American makes a month, 1 second.
I have noticed on like shows where they sell houses, like they're in New York, and the house will be like $1 million, and it'll be a little bean count. And then here in Texas,
I'm a beef farmer, and my wife is a she sews blankets, and my budget's $1 million.
Yeah, $1 million in Texas will get you a mansion, horses,
TV,
everything.
It'll get you everything here in Texas.
Seriously, Texas is a great place to go, man. But
the reason why it's
cost
So
of
yeah,
living
the
is really
average
low.
U.S. monthly income is $30,000 a year, so $2,500 a month, and
So that's about the same as me. $2,500 is roughly about £1,900.
Do you want to know what
Give
the
or
average
take.
rent cost in America is?
No, I'm on about salary.
$1,500. Oh, I'm just letting you know, like the average income is $2,500. The average rent is $1,300.
$1,300 a month.
Yes, and we also have other bills. And I live in a tiny apartment, and my bills, all I have to pay for is internet, electricity, and gas, and it's like $250 a month, or like $200 a month.
That's low too.
We shouldn't have to pay for that shit.
I live in a tiny apartment. Exactly, guys. Why do we pay for water?
Why are we paying for electricity?
You're paying for the electricity it took to pump it out of the ground and to filter it. That's what you're paying for. So the best thing that you can do, you don't have to pay for water.
Have you got a thing
Electricity
abroad
is free.
Have you got a thing abroad called council tax?
No, we have every other
No.
tax.
Never heard of it. Yeah, literally every other.
You don't have income tax in Florida, though. I got that.
I don't have it. You don't have income tax
Do you
anywhere.
have to
If you
pay-
go to
do you have to
State
pay-
income tax. I have state income tax. You don't.
Right.
I do.
Go to livefreenow.org. Nobody
Texas
has
either.
that.
No state income tax in Texas either. That's constitutional. That's how it should be.
So
There
in
should be no
England,
federal income tax either.
I have to pay £1,400 a year for council tax.
That's bullshit.
That's for them. That's for them to take the bins away, etc.
It's probably the same thing as federal tax. That's probably the same.
Yeah. It's probably the same thing.
So you don't have to.
Yeah.
Just so you know, you don't have to pay for water, and electricity.
Oh yeah. Pay for water.
You don't have to if you dig a well.
If you don't, yeah, true.
You shouldn't have to pay for electricity either because it's naturally harvested from the ether.
The energy.
It can be. I'm not saying it is right now, but it can be and it should be.
It should be.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
But hey, the thing that you can do again, because this isn't being stopped in areas where the electricity is deregulated specifically, make sure you're in an area where it's deregulated, but you can actually create the device and hook yourself up to that as instead of being hooked up to the grid. But in places where it's not deregulated, like in Florida, it's not deregulated.
Texas is a good example.
Yeah.
Texas too. They're on their own grid.
Right. So it's like
Texas could go rogue tomorrow and be totally fine.
They would be great. And so there are ways that you can be completely independent, and the media wants really hard to cover this stuff up and make you think that these people are just crazy, but they're not. And you could get do it yourself solar panels, for cheap as hell, and basically go off grid.
You don't even need that. You can make an antenna to harness ether, and you can watch a TV out in your backyard. Power the TV. I've seen many videos where they put up it looks like a TV antenna, but it's actually like an ether antenna where it harnesses the energy from the atmosphere, and they watch their TV powered by that in their backyard, not plugged into anything, just watching it.
I've always said that, and I'm going to do this myself. I'm going to say, about 15 grand, 15, 20 grand. And the biggest way to be free from anything is buy a camper van, convert it, put solar panels on the roof, and then you don't have to pay no council tax. You don't have to give anything to the government, and you can travel where you want, be in a new spot every day, and wake up to a new environment.
Right, you just go stay at a campground and pay minimal fees a day, and
exactly
live free.
Sounds like the life.
I got 3 kids, so I can't do that, but I would if I could.
So anyway, you can be free. You're not connected to any government or anything. You don't have to pay for rent, electricity. It's all free.
That's how it should be. Well, not rent, but I'm saying like our resources that we need, water.
So just remember when you're saying that something is the way that it should be, just kind of the way that I look at it, and it's kind of helped me realize kind of the way that I should push is that the things that we have control over, the things that we can control, we should. And so we should be pushing for the deregulated energy. We should be digging our own wells and stuff. And instead of saying, these things should just be free, we should be saying people should put in the work so that they could be independent on these things. And
everybody should come together to fight the narrative.
Well, if people come together, but they still have to be all competent, right? A bunch of incompetent people coming together is not going to do anything. But if everybody has skills,
no, that's definitely true. Definitely true. I get your point.
Yeah,
it's all very well and good in saying that, but the people that do speak the truth get shut down.
That's why
that's the people that were speaking the truth combined with the people that want to know the truth that don't know it, and we can all teach from each other and learn from each other and just stand up to the bullshit in our country. They can't stop. If we all came together, no matter if you were ignorant or not, they can't stop us. They'd have to bow down.
No,
that's how it should be. That's how it should be.
Well,
The government's there to govern, not to control or rule. It's there they're there by us to enforce laws that we say should be laws.
Look at Andrew Tate on speaking what he truly believes, and the media have taken snippets of it and shut him down on all social media platforms. I've got a friend in the UK called Tommy Robinson. He got jailed for speaking out on his views.
They take it out of context and use it to ruin you. And they don't hear the beginning of the conversation. They don't hear the end of it. They only hear what you said and don't hear anybody rebuttal or give you a chance yourself to rebuttal. That's how it works, man. If it's a narrative, they're going to get you.
Yeah, so you can't. All you're saying is everybody stand together. Yes, they can do, and if they put it on social media on the platform, they just shut you down, or they'd only take snippets of what they want to hear.
If Andrew Tate is a psyop, he would be blocked from every single social media in the world right now. Just FYI.
I think they're just flexing. They're just trying to block everybody they can. Now just trying to show that they can.
Well, they did the same thing to Trump. He had to create his own.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's a savior and he's a good guy and he's the best guy ever. Yeah, he's an asshole. Yeah, but I'd rather have an asshole in office than a freaking idiot.
Same thing as what was Kylie Jenner's fella called?
I'm going to be careful now. I've gotten blocked too many times.
The singer, what was he called? He's been trending on Twitter the past couple of days.
Travis Scott?
No. The one that was married to the Jenners.
Married to Jenner.
Kanye West.
Kanye West. Right, he's been trending on Twitter, hasn't he? Because of what he said in the past couple of days.
Yeah, I think he's controlled that position though.
Yeah, and he's been banned, or he's been speaking out because he supported Trump, and he's put that thing on with his t-shirt saying "White Lives Matter."
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah,
he and somebody else, they were walking next to each other.
Yeah.
I can't remember who it was.
So he's been told he's getting shut down all over the place, isn't he? Why? Because it's
all to distract us from what's really happening behind the scenes.
Yeah,
that's
because
why,
it's not a part of the agenda, is it?
Probably because Grizzly and
or is it there to distract us from
Or
what's
is it?
really happening?
Yes.
the list hasn't
Exactly.
gone, that's why.
Big stars that do big things are there to distract you from big things.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's safe
There's
to
probably a court case going on right now. There's probably something
called a
big
smoke
going on
screen.
right now. Yeah, right.
I think it's safe to assume that we're seeing the escalation and the advancement of the communist agenda, especially here in America, especially with the jailing of political opposition and all that good stuff. My phone is getting pretty low, though. We've been on for about an hour and a half, so I'm probably going to go ahead and call it. So let me go ahead and start at the bottom, let everybody get their last little 2-minute piece in. And
no, I'm good, man. I'll be good. Dave, just follow me back, dude. I'm gonna jump whenever you're in, man. For real.
Yeah, follow me back. I'm going to bed because it's now 10 to 4 where I am in the morning. So good night.
Whoa!
Oh yeah, it's late over there for him. But yeah, anybody?
Oh,
Ten
yeah,
fifty one for me, so
go ahead.
It's not late, but it's.
Anyway, it's been lovely speaking to you guys. Give me a follow, and I look forward to speaking to you again. Good night.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on, Andrews.
Thank you.
Seek the truth. I'm going to follow you back. You can message me.
Thanks, man.
And I'll say this for anybody who does, because here in America, I actually do know how I can it's actually pretty easy to get into the water business. So if somebody is trying to get into that, if you're in another area, it's not like I'm going to make anything. It's not really why I do it. It's just my religion literally is to help people become independent, because I think that is what's going to solve the issue no matter what you believe. So, if anybody is interested in doing that, I can literally hook you up with a local water person. They can teach you the trade, and you can learn how to help people get pure water.
It's funny because I think I know the basics enough to be able to do it
Probably do.
through own research. But am I a plumber? No, but I could. I don't know, man. It's interesting for sure.
A simple YouTube video can teach you how to install a water filter on a house. So,
well, I could do it under my sink. I've watched many of those. I could do a reverse osmosis under my kitchen sink, no problem. But through my whole house, I don't know. It's a little more involved, but yeah, I'm sure I could do it.
It's not too bad. The one on the whole house, I've been told, is actually easier than the one that goes under the sink. But anyway,
You're probably right.
I'm gonna actually make a video on that, so people follow me. I'll make a water video, and if you want to get in on that, just comment on it, and then I'll know who to follow, because I don't want to get my follower count too high. But I
followed you, man. So
well, I'll recognize you. I got your picture right there, so that's easy to remember. But I see a few people commenting that they're interested, so just stay tuned, or send me an email at troublingtribune@gmail.com, and I'll help you any way that I can. But I appreciate everybody tuning in. Seek the truth. Thanks again.
Hey, man, you too. Good talking to you.
You as well,
man. Until next time.
Until next time. Melcario, you got anything left for us, buddy?
Yeah, I was just going to say to a lot of the flat earthers that if you are a flat earther out of spite for your government, just know that there are people out there taking care of you, that there are people on our side, that you should not be completely against the government. There's honest people working, checking and balancing all the quote-unquote evil people in the world. So I just like to say that if you're a flat earther because of deep conspiracy of misunderstandings, that there are people out there fighting for you, and that's all I wanted to say.
I actually agree with that sentiment, that I do think there are certain individuals in the power structure that are fighting on our behalf, and they may not necessarily believe everything that we do. So I do think it's important to unify on specific things, and I think downsizing the government and, in any aspect, taking down tyranny, not having socialism, all that good stuff, I think we can all get behind that. But
100%.
I will say that it does seem like there is a lot more corruption, simply because power invites it. And so there has been quite a few leaks that say that, there are some really fucked up things, pardon my language, happening with the people at the top. So I would love for us all to become independent, go out, take back our local governments, and actually start hashing out real science, because then debates like this, flat earth versus round earth, I kind of agree with the sentiment that it really probably shouldn't be a thing. We should be able to come together and agree on the observations and evidence, to what they conclude to. So the fact that we can't shows that there is a real problem with, with the systems that be, and that they are, in any case, regardless of what you believe, they're not effective. So I'll go ahead and end it on that note. I appreciate everybody coming on. We had great guests, great conversations. I will be posting the full live on my YouTube. And now introducing, we just got approved for Rokfin. So the show at first will be free on Rokfin for the first week or so. But then you can always, if it goes after that, you'll probably have to pay to catch it, just because you got to have premium content on there. So, but hey, lives are premium content. Everybody has really great things to say in it. So once again, thank you everybody for joining me. My name is Troubling Tribune, and until next time, peace.